ready for this?
The way I see it, there's basically two types of people. Stubborn guys like me. We may not like the hell that happens to us, but we deal with it. Guys like you.
Hey guys, welcome to my review for inFamous 2. Sorry this is a little late. I beat this game probably roughly 3 or 4 days after release, but I've been procrastinating and just didn't get around to actually recording the audio for it. Anyways, inFamous 2 is developed by Sucker Punch Productions, the guys who made the Sly Cooper series and obviously the first inFamous. inFamous 2 sees the return of Cole McGrath, the hero or the villain, depending on how you played, from the first game, and he's finally confronting the Beast, an apocalyptic entity that was foretold by Kessler in the first game that would bring the end of the world unless, and the only one who could stop him is Cole. First off, if you haven't played the first inFamous, go get it. It's probably really cheap now. If the PSN Welcome Back program, after it being down, inFamous was one of the free games you could get. That was, if you didn't already own it, that was a great opportunity to get it. Open world superhero game, very fun. A few minor flaws, but as you'll see in this review, the second one improves on all of that. So anyway, if you haven't played the first game, play it. You'll definitely be able to understand the story and the characters of the second one much more, and you can port over some data to get a head start in the second game. The game starts with a bang, kind of as you confront the Beast in Empire City, and it's almost it's kind of reminiscent of the God of War 2 beginning, where you fight the Colossus of Rhodes. If you fought that, except this ends up being different as you don't win. Cole can't stop it. He's not powerful enough, and you're forced to flee to New Marais in an attempt to become more powerful, thanks to a Dr. Wolf who thinks he can amplify your powers. New Marais is basically, in this whatever universe the inFamous is, it's basically New Orleans, and this is a much more interesting, varied, and alive environment that Empire City ever was. Everything just like bleeds culture, design, like it looks like a real place. Empire City seemed like a very generic New York, Chicago style city. However, this is a much more interesting place. The districts are all distinct from one another. It's very cool just to climb and fly around and just doing your parkour, platforming kind of stuff. The graphics in this game are pretty crisp and clear, if not particularly like mind-blowing, but they're not bad and they're nice to look at. The destructibility is something that wasn't really in the first game. It's really cool when it's in the game, however it's kind of limited, and I had a hard time keeping track of what's destructible and what exactly isn't. So that was like kind of lame, but there's, especially in like some boss fight sequences, there's some really cool destructibility. And the third district, there's like these warehouses everywhere that you can totally destroy with tornadoes, lightning storms, whatever. There was a little bit of controversy in that they changed the voice actor for Cole in this game. In the first one, it's a very gravelly voice. Gets the job done. However, I wasn't a huge fan, and I think the new voice for Cole is much more fitting and better. Just wanted to address that. The animations in this game compared to the first one are a lot smoother. In the first game, Cole had that little bobbing, bouncing run that looked kind of stupid. Everything looks much smoother. Everything runs fine in this game. You start off feeling very capable in this game. It's not one of those things like where in the Metroid Prime games you start off with all your powers and then you lose it all through manage to justify that in every story. You start off with enough powers to feel capable. They kind of reworked some of the powers from the first game, but you still have enough to feel like you can do stuff and you're a hero. And then they suitably build up and they get more awesome as they go, and by the end you do feel like a total badass. That being said, the powers are also just more varied and interesting in this one. In inFamous 1, they all kind of seem to branch off of the same general idea, shooting lightning bolts, shooting a longer lightning bolt. There's definitely much more interesting and varied powers in this. Also, I don't really think it's a spoiler, it's been seen in many of the trailers and videos. There is an opportunity to branch off and also gain fire or ice powers, so that also adds some variety. Melee combat is much more visceral this time around thanks to the amp weapon. It's like this giant tuning fork that he carries on his back. When you hit enemies with it, it kind of does some cinematic stuff behind the camera, slow-mo. It looks pretty cool, and it's much better than the melee combat from the first game, which was kind of jank. However, since it does kind of like zoom in whenever you use your amp weapon, it can lead to some minor camera problems in some tight spaces. Nothing, game breaking. It just can be sometimes mildly annoying when it shows up. There's also more varied enemies and just some fun boss battles. Boss battles, I think, were something that was really, there was only a couple, maybe like 3 or 4 in the first game. There's definitely much more, more mini bosses in Infamous 2. They're fun, they're giant, the sense of scale is cool. More varied enemies, such as, these weird kind of mutant insectoid-like enemies, militia soldiers, ice soldiers. Definitely keeps it more interesting and means that when you're fighting multiple different types, you have to adopt multiple strategies to take them all out. Most missions, as kind of in the first game, offer a good or an evil choice. Missions are much more diverse this time around. I tried to replay Infamous 1 again, and I was just kind of bored by it. The missions are very generic, didn't really stick out to me. However, in this game, they're varied, they stand out from one another, and they're fun. And since making a good or evil choice in a mission can close off other opportunities or other missions elsewhere, and as well as the different powers based on karma, you'll have to play this game at least twice to see everything, which is really nice actually for replayability. There's also plenty of side missions. I want to say like 60 or so that's nice as well. There's also a mission creator that Sucker Punch added. I haven't really messed around with it myself, however I played several of the created missions, and while generic and there's no voice acting, you can only have text, you could still manage to tell like a minor story in some of them, and it just adds to the replayability. The experience you gain there carries over to your main story character, and it allows for some interesting opportunities and it's just some more fun and creativity. Overall, just the more dark and ominous tone of the story, the fact that the beast is coming and the stakes are so high makes for a better open world superhero game. I'm really looking forward to playing this a second time, Evil, and it basically improves on and fixes every flaw from the first game. If you have a PS3, get this. There's no real doubt in my mind that it's just a fun game no matter how you play it. Even if you don't get invested in the story, just the gameplay alone makes up for it. So, thanks for watching. Again, sorry that this is a little late coming, but I will keep putting out reviews as soon as I can. Thanks for watching, guys.
Cheers, brother. Half as long.
Twice as bright.